In 1974, Harold Stevens, an American author known for his explorations of World War II and other world travels and adventures, discovered large footprints along the sandy river bank of Sungai Kinchin in Johor, Malaysia. The natives who were part of the expedition confirmed that the prints were that of the orang dalam, or what is commonly known as Bigfoot. This became a landmark case internationally for many Bigfoot researchers that sparked the possibility for this mysterious creature to exist in the rainforest of Malaysia. But is Bigfoot real?
Bigfoot, for me, is something that I have been studying on the side for the last 20 to 30 years. Bigfoot connects us to something that is more than the ordinary. It connects us to something that's more than just what we're used to in life, because there's a high possibility he can be real. But at the same time, it's still mysterious because no one has found an actual body yet.
Well, Bigfoot, Yeti, Yari in Australia, Chinese wild man in China, they've got different names. They're all over the world, really. There are tales and stories about them. I don't know whether it's an ancient memory from far back. If there is, why don't we find any remains? Doesn't quite make sense. I'm a romantic. I want there to be something out there.
As early as in the 1950s, there have been sightings of Bigfoot, or the hairy giants, by rubber tappers in Perak and Johor in Malaysia. Even as recent as 2014, there have been sightings near Endau in Johor. However, these eyewitness accounts have been explained by the Wildlife Department as normal footprints of normal animals such as elephants and maybe even sun bears. Although it is not overwhelming, but the evidence of Bigfoot existence has been closely linked and associated with orang asli, or the native people, who reside near or in the forest where it is believed that there are many mystical creatures that exist. In this episode, we will speak to Asian Bigfoot researchers, investigators, anthropologists, scientists, and even eyewitnesses who have had encounters of Bigfoot in Malaysia. There is a perennial belief that the Bigfoot is a primate. In Malaysia, it is referred to as the orang tua jarang gigi, which means the old man with widespread teeth, or they could be known as orang dalam or Datuk Genalio. The orang asli or natives I have spoken to actually said that they are humans, but interdimensional, as in they can travel to the invisible realms. In my research, I was introduced to two different tribes of orang asli that seem to have similar references to a giant-like creature in their belief systems. But are these creatures the Bigfoot I am looking for? Tok Ading Kara from the Termia tribe is the shaman and village head of an Orang Asli settlement in Gua Musang, Kelantan. He says that Engkok or Datuk Genalio is an important deity in their tribe. It is the thunder god and it is formless to the people. He says he is like electricity. But in his dreams, he comes to Ading Kara as Bigfoot with small, bright red eyes. He looks human as he walked upright with a pair of big feet, hairy and tall. I was informed that Tok Ading Kara will perform a sehwag, a ceremony with singing, dancing and trancing to invoke the spirit of Engkok or Datuk Genalio. Will the Malaysian Bigfoot show up during the ceremony? understand Tok Adinkra better, I have Dr. Marina Roseman, an anthropologist and ethnomusicologist who has been working closely with the Termia tribe in Kelantan for 30 years. She is also the winner of the prestigious John Simon Guggenheim Fellowship for 1996. What is tonight's sehwag about?
Tonight's sehwag is partly that we've asked for him to bring Nku into our midst. And I think it's a very powerful one. And if you listen to the sehwag, a person sings the song that they've been given in a dream by Nku. He will usually give a special kind of leaves and a special kind of flowers. So you'll see in the sehwag that they're using the palm, and they're also using a special flower, and that flower they call bunga tambush is the name for it. A different type of spirit will ask for different kind of flowers.
After 2 hours of trancing, dancing and singing, we have yet to see or feel the presence of Engkok or Datuk Genalio. But something unusual did happen later during my interview with Tok Adinkra. Is the presence here? Is Engkok has arrived? Before we started the interview with Tok Adinkra, a gust of strong wind that is closely related to the presence of Engkok, the thunder god, began to blow. And Tok Adinkra responded in a weird manner. Was he possessed by a spirit, or did the sehwag really invoke the Engkok? My interview with Tok Adinkra took a different turn as it was difficult to get straightforward answers from him. Is the thunder god that terrorizes the village the same as Bigfoot? Has Engkok taken possession of Tok Adinkra or another type of spirit at play?
Hey!
Is the presence here? Is Engkok has arrived? Who am I looking at?
Blink your eyes. Don't blink your eyes. Hold your stand. Don't blink.
For what?
These eyes are the power of Engkok.
What is your understanding of Bigfoot?
Bigfoot is King Kong.
So is Datuk Genala like King Kong?
Datuk Genalio is the same as Bigfoot.
Is like King Kong?
Yes, King Kong, Bigfoot.
And earlier, Adinkra had explained that it has human form with the small red eyes and the bearded face.
Big beard, yeah.
And then he said it's like King Kong.
Yes.
Bigfoot, King Kong.
How does this all relate to Bigfoot? I mean, is Engkok they are, in their culture, the Bigfoot?
I think Endau comes the closest to our comprehension of Bigfoot. There have been times when he's explained and said, actually, the feet are a little bigger, you know. But sometimes he's consistent and sometimes he's not. And I think we got some of those inconsistencies because he keeps saying he's like a person, but he's also like King Kong, which is hairy all over, you know, and more like a gorilla.
So you would say that in the context of what Adinkra and his culture or his tribe, the Temia tribe, believes is that in what I'm looking for, such as the stories of Bigfoot, this is the closest that the Temia tribes believe to be Bigfoot.
That's the closest that they would come.
Hey!
This segment has been rather interesting, and I would actually say rather disappointing, because it is my observation that maybe perhaps what they believe or how they practice what they believe may not be so aligned to the content that I'm looking for. But nonetheless, I am appreciative of their time. Dr. Marina Roseman is a highly respected author and academic. Although she is certainly not a Bigfoot researcher, nor has she conducted deep studies of the Bigfoot mythology in the Orang Asli culture. Despite her explanations of the sehwag, I cannot deny my skepticism when I witness it in the context of Bigfoot research. I cannot be sure that the spirit present that night was Engkok, and if Engkok is really Bigfoot. Therefore, I would like to seek the opinions of other experts like Mr. Kamal, an anthropologist from University Malaya, to hopefully shed more insight. My experience thus far with interviewing or getting to know Orang Aslis, I find certain ways of behavior, like how they conduct the sehwag. I guess I come from the city and it looks very bizarre to me.
And artificial.
And artificial, correct.
Yeah.
And I sometimes suspect the authenticity of it.
There is an element of sehwag which is actually a communion or a union of the spiritual world with the living world in a common space. So you have the shaman going into a trance, visiting his spirit familiar, the spirit that guides him, with these other spirit helpers that come down, together with the community and working towards healing this person. I don't see that as superficial or artificial in any sense. I believe they believe in it. Okay. But there's more to it.
The Orang Asli commonly know him and regard him as Orang Tua Jarang Gigi. And to them, he is very real.
Yes.
And what is your take on that?
The impression I get, yes, they believe it exists, but it's more than just an existence through mythology. It's reinforced with incidences that happen today. There was one child who got lost a few years ago somewhere in Pahang, and they believe that he was hidden by this ancestor, a giant.
From your time that you have been researching and working with Orang Asli, have you seen anything,
no, of course
even
not.
maybe a shadow? So does that give you doubt?
No, because I see reality as constructed according to the cultural norms that fit our sense of normal. And yeah, so if I was raised in a society where these mythological creature figures exist and are given form, then yes, they would be part of my reality. I think my science would tell me we don't know enough to say yes or no. Some community members talk about it as eyewitness, so I think we shouldn't discount eyewitness accounts.
Is Bigfoot just a spirit being or is it a physical being? Are we forcing our understanding of the Western Bigfoot into the fairy tales of the Orang Asli? I do not doubt that there are many stories from diverse cultures that point to almost similar descriptions of a giant primate. But are they talking about the same thing?
But the shape of the paws was like bears, but the bigger ones were double in size. It was about 11 inches.
In fact, he knows that we are talking about him now. Many of us have seen his footprints everywhere.
Is the presence here, has arrived?
There's a high possibility he can be real. But at the same time, it's still mysterious because no one has found an actual body yet.
When I was in Johor, I also came across news reporting of strange giant footprints appearing in Mr. Liu's farm at Kampung Gudang Garam in December 2013. I am curious, although it was later clarified by the Wildlife Department to be prints of tapir. I wanted to know more from Mr. Liu.
Initially, I thought it was very strange when I discovered these large footprints. I decided to inform the press so I could find out more. They will help spread the news and more people can share their opinions with me. The footprints started from that side. They went opposite and then to the other side. And from that side, you can cut across to Air Panas. This man-made stream is 8 feet deep. Based on the depression of the prints, I was told that the tapir was about 500 kilos. How could it jump across without falling into the water? And if it did fall into the water, it would have drowned. These tapirs did not destroy our plantation and crops. They just passed by quietly. The tapir's feet were like wild boars, but the shape of the paws was like bears. The smaller ones were the size of my palm, but the bigger ones were double in size. It was about 11 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the print looks like this. There is a deep indentation in the middle. Well, it's not logical, but I wouldn't dare to challenge their professional opinion.
In the course of my research, I also came across another story in Johor about Bigfoot sightings. I was introduced to the children of the late Bapa Kais and Orang Poyang or shaman of the Jakun tribe in Johor. Bapa Kais was claimed to be a powerful healer, having died 6 times and revived back to life by what the natives understand to be the mystical Bigfoot or the Orang Tua Jarang Gigi. The fascinating thing about this family is that for 3 generations, they had a rather amicable relationship with Bigfoot. Let's find out more.
Actually, Orang Tua Jarang Gigi, or how we respectfully call him as Datuk Hulu Paya, is a human like us. But he is an ancient man. He is tall, hairy, and has superpowers to help my grandfather and father in many things like healing, gathering woods and crops in the forest, and to protect them.
After listening to the interesting account of Bapa Kais by his son Pak Acai, I contacted Dr. Andrew Hill, an anthropologist who wrote a comprehensive paper about Bapa Kais and his tribe. I wanted to find out if during his research period in the 1970s, did he see or hear about the Jakun Bigfoot known as Orang Tua Jarang Gigi or Datuk Hulu Paya.
Dear Lee Kim, thank you for the message. I don't recall that name Orang Tua Jarang Gigi, though Datuk Hulu Paya does sound familiar, as one of the names that I heard when they made invocations to the spirits. There were a number of different kinds of spirit beings who the Orang Hulu revered, and with whom the Poyang makes contact. What you call Orang Tua may be what Batin Kais referred to as his Sahabat, one of the Poyang's 2 kinds of spirit guides, who is a friend, a divine being. However, I never heard of them being seen in human-like or hairy form.
Based on Dr. Andrew Hill's explanation, he has never heard of any association between the modern view of Bigfoot with the natives' portrayal of Datuk Hulu Paya or Orang Tua Jarang Gigi. To find out further about these differing interpretations, I have decided that we should speak with more witnesses from Bapa Kais' family. My research team went to Kampung Kudung to meet with another son of Bapa Kais, known as Pak Sate, to find out about his Bigfoot encounters. I want to find out if orang tua jarang gigi is really Bigfoot or is it a supernatural being that is common amongst the tribe.
Orang tua is very tall, about 9 to 11 feet and hairy. His feet are huge, at least double the size of a human, and we must always respect him because he has powers and magical abilities. In fact, he knows that we are talking about him now. Many of us have seen his footprints everywhere. Orang tua is not a monkey or an ape. He is a man, but a man of two dimensions, one that is visible and another that is invisible. I have seen him a few times only when I follow my grandfather into the forest. He does not like to be disturbed, but when our intention and heart is pure, he will help us when we ask him. Orang tua wants his privacy and do not like strangers. My grandfather and father have a special friendship with him, and that's why we can meet him, but that is also very rare. He is the guardian of the forest and protector of the Orang Asli.
I found Pak Sate's stories to be highly entertaining, but how come no one else has seen the orang tua jarang gigi? And that's when we asked the million-dollar question. Can we hike into the forest to meet orang tua jarang gigi or Bigfoot? Pak Sate hesitated. He said that it is not easy to meet the orang tua jarang gigi and it is not up to us to demand when we want to see him. After meeting Pak Sate, I would say that at this moment, he would be my best lead to meet with Bigfoot. However, we do need to wait to see whether he will be granted permission to take us to meet Bigfoot. So far, what I've discovered could be, shall I say, not so exciting. But in light of the strong belief in the existence of Bigfoot amongst many people, I must still continue my pursuit of Bigfoot. Will we witness evidence of Bigfoot? Will he come to us in sound? Will we see him? Or will he continue to exist, real for some and a mystery for others?